Chapter 51. Weird Fish. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 51. Weird Fish. Translator Aristofaniso. Editor Karen _ Old Chien's got a big haul this year. No doubt. The price of yellow croakers and black breams are much higher this year. TSK. They say that the Chien family raised a lot of black breams, but now. Enough, old Zhao. Don't say so much. You saw how black Chien Dehai's face was today. He got what he deserved. This is payback. They still haven't caught the people who stole his fish without leaving a clue. Old Chien came out today because he was also afraid someone might steal his. What I think is that Chien's offended someone and they took revenge. If that wasn't the case, why would they steal the Chien's fish and nobody else's? This was a huge loss for Dehai, it must have cost him in the millions. Chu Xian overheard the fisherman's words and smiled as he looked out at the farm. On rainy days, fish always swam up to the surface of the water, so it was usually the best opportunity to catch fish. Just using nets to gather the fish slowly on a farm this size would take at least 3 days. The big, fat fish gathered and churned the water. A single net could grab 1,000 caddies of fish. The worker was very satisfied, and soon, a boat filled with fish came up to the bank, dragging a net behind it. Come. Everybody, make room. Old Chien yelled out, dumping the fish in the big basin on the bank. Quickly, pull up the net. Old Chien the workers on the boat to put all the fish into the basin. What the *LL? What kind of fish is this? A young man on the bank shouted out in surprise. Everyone looked over curiously. Resting in the nets was a huge, dark gray fish, 1 meter long with a slim and long tail. The scales covering it looked like wrinkled skin, and its mouth was long and pointy with rows of teeth just barely visible as it opened its mouth. Holy sh*t, what the f*ck is that? It's so big. The crowd gasped in surprise, all of them coming in for a closer look. Tisk. Old Chien clicked his tongue and said, "This is the weirdest fish I've ever seen. It probably came in from the sea." He was surprised, but this was nothing outrageous. As an old fisherman, there were a few things he hadn't seen. As the old saying went, considering the huge amount of creatures in the sea, if one day a mermaid came up, it still wouldn't be too surprising. F*ck, Old Chien, its mouth is so big. Will it attack people? One of the other fishermen asked curiously. Give it your hand and try, Old Chien joked. Okay, Old Liu, get on the boat and toss the fish back into the water. Usually, the fisherman just threw any weird fish back into the sea. The strange fish might not be edible or might even be poisonous. Okay. Old Liu nodded. Wait. Chu Xian suddenly interjected. Brother, can you sell this fish to me? Everyone turned to this young man in confusion. Old Chien frowned and asked, Little bro, do you know what kind of fish this is? Chu Xian hesitated for a moment then nodded. This is a mo-ko fish, a kind of mutated fish. Someone caught one just like it in Jiangmen, and it's not expensive. You can check online. Mo-ko fish. Level 15 combat power. 188 gift. Anesthesia. Chu Xian saw a fish like this on the internet, but the people there just said it was a weird fish without providing any other details. If he didn't have the system, he wouldn't even know the fish's name. Oh. If little bro wants it, I can just give it to you for free. I was just going to toss it anyway, Old Chien said generously. Thank you so much, brother. Chu Xian nodded, accepting his offer. He walked over to the boat and called over Old Liu and asked him, Brother, can you give me the net? I'll get it. Okay, but be careful. Its mouth is filled with teeth, be careful of its bite. Old Liu warned him kindly. Don't worry, brother. I'll be fine. Chu Xian replied with a smile, taking the net and reaching out for the fish. Little bro, careful. Careful, old Qian said again. It's fine. Chu Xian laughed, grasping the mo ko fish with both hands. He held the 100 catty fish easily. Holding it, Chu Xian could feel its thick, connected scales like crocodile skin. It was very tough. The crowd saw that the fish didn't move at all and walked over to take a look. TSK, this fish is huge. Is it edible? One of the fishermen muttered as he touched the scales. Hee, I'm going to try to raise it, Chu Xian replied, putting the fish in the big basin on the bank. Taking out 1,000 RMB, he said, bro, sell this basin to me, I need it for the fish. Okay. But it's not that expensive, not by a long shot. Old Qian waved away the 1,000 RMB. I'd be embarrassed taking the fish from you for free, just take this money. Chu Xian forced the bills into old Qian's hand and asked some of the young men to help transfer the basin to him. Fortunately he bought a large SUV, otherwise the fish wouldn't have any hope of fitting into his car. Thanks, brothers, Chu Xian said, offering some cigarettes to the young men. He then drove his car back to his store. Once there, he moved the mo ko fish into the back of the store. Then Chu Xian went to the print shop and got some new labels for 3,000 RMB. With all this done, Chu Xian took out his phone and started looking up information. He hadn't asked for the mo ko fish arbitrarily, he wanted to carry out an experiment which might be a big breakthrough for him. If it worked, it could only be beneficial for him. But as he surfed the web, some news in the Haiqing City newspaper, and on Weibo and WeChat went viral. Chapter 52. Shady Store. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 52. Shady Store. Translator. Aristofaniso editor. Karen_Haiqing morning paper. Although newspapers weren't as popular anymore, there were still many people reading the free papers on the buses and subways to pass their boring transit time. In today's paper, a piece of news attracted many people's attention. Guwu Street, a goldfish store selling small goldfish for 2,000 RMB. Sky high price. The title grabbed many people's attention, and the content made them angry. The sky-high price shrimp incident in Shangdao is infamous now. A 38 RMB shrimp dish transformed into 38 RMB per shrimp, and as soon as the news spread, the discussion was intense. Even though the shop owner was fined 90,000 RMB, the reputation of the city didn't recover. Comedians made all kind of jokes of Shangdao and of seafood in general. Without exaggeration, in just one night, the sky-high incident embarrassed Shangdao and damaged the hospitable reputation that the city developed after hundreds of millions RMB of spending. Every city should learn from this infamous event, and tourist cities like our simple and honest Haiqing should take special notice, but here in our own backyard, something similar is happening. Guwu Street is a developed tourist attraction dedicated to appreciating the past, and walking down the street is like walking back in time to an ancient city. Here, an ornamental fish shop at 108, Guwu Street sells only goldfish, but when I walked into the store, I was stunned to discover that the goldfish sold for 2,000 RMB each. 2,000 RMB, a month's salary for a janitor, 2 months' allowance for a student, but a goldfish is actually sold for this price. Yes, the goldfish are quite beautiful, but their beauty doesn't mean they should sell at more than 10 times or 100 times their value. The goldfish on Taobao are all very pretty, but how much are they? Only a couple RMB or a little more. To conclude, I want to strongly criticize this black-hearted shop-keeping, making money without a conscience, ruining the reputation of Haiqing. I'm going to report this store to the Industry and Commerce Bureau to punish this shopkeeper, and I hope that the readers will report this kind of event to build and develop our beautiful, welcoming, and wonderful city of Haiqing. To the shopkeepers in our city, please take this as a warning. Don't break the law for temporary benefits, and do business with a conscience. The news was published simultaneously on the Haiqing City Public Weibo and the Haiqing WeChat. In just a morning's time, the views already reached more than 10,000, and some famous bloggers even reposted it on their Weibo. Stupid. This shopkeeper is so black-hearted. 2,000 for a goldfish. Are these goldfish fairy spirits or made of gold? These shopkeepers really have no conscience. They'll definitely die a terrible death sooner or later. Sky.high goldfish price. So strong. I'll have to go check it out later today to see if it's as impressive as the author makes it sound. Damn. If I go in, will they force me to buy? I'm a pretty boy, so I just don't know whether the shop owner is a man or a woman. F***ck, this black-hearted shop owner deserves to have his store damaged. On Weibo there were many angry comments, but there were also more reasonable questions like: buying goldfish isn't like being tricked to order shrimp. At this price, can't you just choose not to buy? Can goldfish even be sold at such a price? Customers aren't idiots, will they spend 2,000 RMB on a goldfish? This goldfish has to be rare and precious, right? Of course, these comments were covered by the flood of angry words, and a lot of people were even preparing to go to the store. Some of his customers saw the news and thought they had been tricked and were going to the store for an explanation. Chu Xian didn't know about any of this, and he spent his time looking up all kinds of information. Because of the rain, there weren't many people on the street. When it was almost nighttime, the rain finally stopped. Chu Xian rubbed his eyes and frowned in thought. His mind was fuzzy, and he put his phone away and walked over to the Mo Ko fish. This one, is it this one? A loud voice suddenly filled the store. The noisy sounds from outside disturbed Chu Xian's thoughts, and he looked up in confusion as a small group of people burst into the store. One of the young men was holding a fish tank. Shop owner, the young man yelled. Chu Xian looked at them with some confusion and asked, what's the problem? The problem? Why don't you tell me? The young man plunked the fish tank onto the table. You're the lying, black-hearted shopkeeper, right? My grandmother bought these 5 goldfish from you a couple days ago, right? Chu Xian examined the goldfish in confusion and didn't see any problems. He turned to one of the elderly women in the back and recognized the face. Yes, your grandmother came in a few days ago saying she wanted a gift for her little granddaughter. As long as you admit it, the young man said. Did you sell these fish for 2,000 each? Chu Xian replied. You're a cheat. 2,000 each. You lied to my grandmother who didn't know any better. Now that your tourist trap has been exposed, I'm warning you. You better refund me or this thing won't end well. The young man threw a newspaper into Chu Xian's face. Chu Xian frowned, flipped over the paper and read it. His expression twisted, and he clenched his fists. Hee, kid, your store is infamous now. All of Haiqing City knows about it, congratulations, the young man said with a mocking expression. You make dirty money without a conscience. People like you will really die a terrible death. Chu Xian cocked an eyebrow at him, saying, What, do you want to make trouble? Hee. Why would we make trouble with a closing store, the young man said contemptuously. We brought the fish back. If you refund us, we can forget about this. If you don't blame us for making trouble. Chu Xian looked at them, then looked at the goldfish and laughed. Okay, 10,000. I'll return it to you. Chapter 53. Playing Big, 1. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 53. Playing Big, 1. Translator. Aristofaniso editor. Karen _ they were stunned. They thought that the shopkeeper would deny his actions or act shamelessly, but they never imagined that he would agree to refund them so easily. You're going to return all our money? One of the older men asked uncertainly. Of course. Full refund. Chu Xian nodded and continued. I don't have cash, are you okay with WeChat or Alipay? Look at you guys. Return, return, return. I bought these for my granddaughter and she liked them so much. We already bought them, why do we have to return anything? The old grandmother said, displeased. Heh. The young man laughed awkwardly. Chu Xian's frankness diffused his anger and made him embarrassed. He warned Chu Xian, brother, listen to my advice and shut down your store. The Industry and Commerce Bureaus is going to come and investigate you. Heh. Close. Why should I close down? Chu Xian said with amusement, taking the fish tank and putting it on a shelf. Transfer, he asked, taking out his phone. The young man nodded, taking out his phone. Chu Xian transferred him the money. Okay. If there's nothing else, you guys should leave, Chu Xian said while taking out the new price tag he printed and relabeled all the fish tanks. This time, the price tags were big and noticeable, easy for customers to read. The people all looked at Chu Xian curiously and were stunned when they saw the words, 3,000 RMB each, in bold font. They stared in surprise. He's actually raising the price, the young man exclaimed in astonishment. Crazy. Crazy. The morning paper already reported it all, yet he still raises the price. I don't understand. Chu Xian finished with the price tags and replied to their words, saying lightly, it's not that I'm crazy, but it's just that few people understand their value. I might even raise the price further in the future. Ladies and gentlemen, if you please. I need to carry on with my business. The people didn't linger in the store shamelessly and awkwardly left. Come, come. This is the store. Let's take a look. Some other young men came over afterwards, looking around and pointing. They entered and after a glance at Chu Xian, they turned to the goldfish. What the F***ck, one of the young men exclaimed. The newspaper said 2,000. Now it's 3,000. Just for a goldfish. The goldfish here are very beautiful, no wonder the boss dares to sell them at such a crazy price. Maybe some people will like them enough to buy them, one of the men said, examining the cute and pretty goldfish. Boss, what kind of goldfish are these? Why are they so expensive? The newspapers all know about your store and they say you're a cheat, trying to rip people off. One of the young men looked at Chu Xian and asked. Whether they're a rip-off or not can't be determined by people who don't understand. Chu Xian laughed carelessly. Although he was upset when he first saw the article, now he was fine. This was a good chance to promote his store. So, boss. What's the deal with your goldfish? One of the other young men piped in curiously. It has to do with the type. All the goldfish here are expensive and rare, a single arowana can be sold for a couple million, so a couple thousand for my goldfish isn't even expensive. But of course, for people who don't understand, the price is unreasonable. Anyway, gentlemen, I'm going to close down the store for today. Boss. Why are you closing? Isn't it still early? You're not going to close down your shop, are you? Of course not. Chu Xian smiled mysteriously. I just have something I need to deal with. Tomorrow I'll open like usual. Gentlemen, if you aren't thinking of buying some goldfish then I'll have to ask you to leave. The young men saw that he was really closing up, so they prepared to leave. As they walked, they said, the goldfish in the store really are beautiful. I think it's definitely possible to sell them for a couple thousand RMB. Maybe, but the newspaper only said 2,000, yet now it's 3. He's so confident, directly raising the price by 1,000. Yeah, it's probably just confidence. As long as the boss doesn't force people to buy his fish, there shouldn't be any problem. Chu Xian heard their conversation as he was locking up and smiled. He had more than just confidence, he thought, as he drove over to Hai Qing Standard. He parked the car close to Xiao Ying's classroom and walked over to her class. Xiao Ying and her classmates weren't busy with classes and were all applying for jobs at some of the job fairs. When they weren't busy with other things, they usually hung out in this room. Chu Xian walked in and attracted a lot of attention. All the people who went to the resort remembered clearly how at the resort, he slapped the faces of Lu Ji, Bei Feng and those second-generation rich kids like Brother Song. "Excuse me, where's Xiao Ying?" Chu Xian asked when he couldn't find her. "In the office," Siyu answered, walking over to him. "And, what's happening?" Chu Xian looked at Siyu with some confusion. "Chu Xian, Xiao Ying might be in trouble," Siyu said quietly when she came closer. "Trouble? What kind of trouble?" Chu Xian frowned at her words. "I think the hiring process isn't moving forward with the school," Siyu answered, wrinkling her forehead in worry. "A hiring issue?" Chu Xian asked in surprise. "Wasn't all of this decided already? How come there's an issue now?" "Envy, I don't know either," Siyu said, shaking her head. "Please take me to the office." Siyu nodded, leading him over. When they arrived at the entrance to the office, they found Xiao Ying talking with a girl in white. Chu Xian relaxed when he saw Xiao Ying smiling. As he walked over, he called out, "Xiao Ying." Xiao Ying heard Chu Xian's voice and turned around in surprise. "Xiao Xian, what are you doing here?" "I had something I needed to do at school, so I came to find someone. I heard from Siyu that you might be in trouble, so I came over," Chu Xian said, walking up next to her. "It's nothing. Come, Xiao Xian, let me introduce you. This is my new friend, Tang Qiumeng. Qiumeng, this is my boyfriend, Chu Xian." Xiao Ying introduced the two of them. "Nice to meet you," Chu Xian said lightly, looking at this girl in white. Her skin was very pale, and her pair of phoenix eyes were cold and distant. Tang Qiumeng nodded back in greeting. Chapter 54. Playing Big. 2. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 54. Playing Big, 2. Translator. Aristofaniso Editor. Karen_Xiao Ying, what did Siyu mean? Are you having some trouble getting hired? What's the problem? Chu Xian asked as he and Xiao Ying walked on a small road near the school. There was some problem in the beginning. Xiao Ying nodded and continued. A professor in the department was against hiring me. Xiao Ying replied honestly, leaning on Chu Xian. You know, the professor is Tang Qiumeng's father, and Professor Tang wanted Qiumeng to be a teacher here, so he didn't accept my application. Qiumeng graduated from HSD University in the US and she just came back yesterday. She majored in biology, but she mainly wants to study animals. Professor Tang doesn't want her to be a vet, so he arranged for her to come teach. When Qiumeng found out, she was already kind of against it, and today she found out that she was taking my position, so she went and argued with her father about his methods. In the end, he compromised and accepted my application. That was when we came out of the office and started talking. Really? Chu Xian said, thinking it was all very dramatic. I thought it would end up being some cliché with the rich girl wanting to steal your position with her connections. If Qiumeng really wanted to be a teacher, she's totally qualified. She also has a bachelor's degree in psychology. Xiao Ying said in admiration. A studious girl and a vet. I'm guessing she hasn't found herself a boyfriend, Chu Xian teased. Go away. You wouldn't even qualify to be in the competition. By the way, you said you had something to do. Xiao Ying said, asking curiously as she hugged his arm. Help me find someone, Chu Xian said. I'm looking for a girl who goes here, her name is Xiao Xiao. She's some sort of internet celebrity. Why are you looking for her? Xiao Ying asked with some alarm, letting go of his arm and looking at him. Chu Xian huffed, squeezing her cheek. What are you thinking? I just need her to help me with something. How am I supposed to know that? Men with money always turn bad, this is the truth, Xiaoying said, pursing her lips. The girl you're looking for, I've heard of her. She's pretty famous here. A freshman. I'll take you to her. Okay, okay. Chu Xian said, recognizing that Xiaoying was a little jealous. He took her arm and said, thank you, wife. Pooh. Xiaoying laughed as she took him over to Xiao Zhao's classroom. When they approached the classroom door, Xiaoying glanced at Chu Xian before walking inside. She asked one of the students near the front, excuse me, is Xiao Xiao in this class? Ah. Senior Tianing. Xiao Xiao, she's here, yeah. A guy playing with his phone looked up and recognized Xiaoying. He turned around and yelled, Xiao Xiao, Senior Sis Tianing is looking for you. Ah. Xiao Xiao raised her head from where she lay on her desk. She looked over at Chu Xian and Xiaoying in surprise. With some confusion, she got up and walked over. Big Sis Tianing, is there anything I can do for you? Xiao Xiao asked before turning to Chu Xian. Handsome, I'm guessing it's you looking for me. That's right, Chu Xian said with a smile. I didn't know where you were so I could only ask my girlfriend to help me. At his words, Xiaoying smiled lightly. Okay, handsome, what can I do for you? Xiao Xiao asked curiously, looking at the two of them. Help me out. Chu Xian asked. Are you free right now? Yeah. Xiao Xiao nodded and followed Chu Xian to a cafe near the school. So what are you saying? You want me to help you find some famous blogger on Weibo? Xiao Xiao asked with some confusion. You want them to advertise for you, promoting your goldfish? No, Chu Xian shook his head, showing her his phone. Help me spread this message. The best outcome is making it onto the popular feed on Weibo. Xiao Xiao looked over curiously and Xiaoying also peered over in confusion. This. Xiao Xiao said with widening eyes. This is the official blog for the Morning Post of Haiqing City. Yes. Chu Xian said, curling his lips at her surprise. There aren't many readers of the official blog for the Morning Post. I want to help them out. This. Xiao Xiao said in surprise, reading the content of the article. Chu Xian's store had been reported as a tourist trap. Did these journalists have no knowledge, or did they just have no brains? You want to spread this message. You want everyone to hear about your tourist trap. Xiao Xiao asked with understanding. You want to make a big hit and create a sensation. No, I just want to expose a tourist trap and let people in the whole country know that there's a shady store in Haiqing where goldfish are sold for 3,000 RMB each. I want everyone in the country to criticize this store. It's too expensive. Chu Xian said excitedly, gripping his fist. Xiao Xiao stared at him as her face blackened. She asked, you sell your goldfish for 3,000 RMB each. I just raised the price. Chu Xian said with a twitching mouth, do you know any famous bloggers on Weibo? Can you help me contact them? Xiao Xiao couldn't help but change her expression. I know a few, but are you really going to play with all these people? Am I? Chu Xian said, sipping his coffee. I just want some people to repost the Haiqing Morning Post on Weibo. I'm not doing anything else. You're too sly. Xiao Xiao said, looking at him in stunned amusement. 5 goldfish. Chu Xian's face darkened and he looked at her with some mock anger. From where I stand, you're the sly one. Okay. I hope you can contact them all today, and if you can contact a couple dozen of those big bloggers, money isn't a problem. Couple dozen. Xiao Xiao thought with raised eyebrows. She promised, no problem. I'll take your money and help you. You can count on me for this. Xiaoying asked Chu Xian with some confusion, Xiao Xian, the paper called your store a tourist trap. Why are you promoting it? Because. Chu Xian looked at Xiaoying with confidence. Because I want everyone in the country to know about my tourist trap. At that time, someone will come forth and clear my name, and then. Haha. Chapter 55. Crazy Tourist Trap, 1. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 55. Crazy Tourist Trap, 1. Translator. Aristofaniso Editor. Karen that night, Xiao reached out to some famous bloggers on Weibo, and through them, she was able to contact a couple dozen in total. Chu Xian gave them all 10,000 RMB and in return, he simply asked them to forward the Weibo post of the Haiqing City Morning Post and to cooperate a little with some of the reactions. Such an easy task for 10,000 RMB, all the famous bloggers accepted without hesitation. Very soon, all the famous bloggers forwarded the newest Weibo post of Haiqing City Morning Post with the additional comment. Another high-price shrimp fiasco. Please expose this terrible behavior. All the famous bloggers had many fans, ranging from a couple 100,000 to a couple million. With all their fans added together, that meant they had a total reach of 5 or 6 million people. This kind of exposure of evil was good at grabbing people's attention, and very quickly, the message went viral. Lots of people reposted and forwarded it, leaving many angry comments. People online started commenting. Some admired the work of the journalists and some criticized the tourist trap angrily, but most just made fun of the goldfish store on Guwu Street. An Audi's brake wasn't working, and on the left side was a cart of Xinjiang nut cakes, while on the right side was an old man with a backpack. The driver swerved and hit the old man, thinking himself lucky that he reacted fast. At that time, the old man spoke with a Haiqing accent, "Why did you hit my backpack?" The driver said generously, "Old man, how much did it cost? I'll make it up to you." The old man said calmly, "My backpack is filled with Guwu Street goldfish." The driver fell down in surprise and couldn't get back up and died at the age of 38. The day before yesterday I was in Haiqing City and saw someone selling goldfish on Guwu Street. The sign said, "Highest quality goldfish, 20 RMB each." I bought one happily, but as I was paying, it turned out that a single scale cost 18 RMB. When I saw the fish covered in scales, my heart bled. Today I hung out with my friend on Guwu Street. Since I like goldfish, when I saw some beautiful goldfish, I bought one tank directly. As I was paying for 10 RMB each, 5 in a tank, I discovered that the price was 10,000 RMB. My brothers all huffed angrily and asked, "Why are they so expensive? You said 10 RMB each." The shopkeeper pointed at the goldfish and said, "There are hundreds of fish in its belly." Groups of comedians strained their brains and commented on Weibo, rushing to post their comments. The messages were numberless. Meanwhile, the chief editor, Zhao Zicheng, was surprised by the commotion. Someone else was directly responsible for their online presence, and although their online platforms were usually used to publish big events in Haiqing, this time was different. The article was one he reviewed yesterday afternoon. The article was written by Li Feng and exposed a tourist trap on Guwu Street that sold goldfish. When he read that the goldfish were 2,000 RMB each, he didn't hesitate to approve the article and publish it in today's paper. This kind of shopkeeper had no conscience and should be criticized by all. He wasn't surprised that this message had been published on Weibo, but rather he was surprised at how many times it was reposted and forwarded. His Weibo fan count had increased from just over 10,000 to more than 50,000 in the span of a day. Zhao Zicheng read through the comments curiously and he soon understood why. Some big bloggers forwarded the message and spread the news to many people. Nice. This incident wouldn't be bad publicity for the city, but would instead promote the reputation of the Morning Post. And it also helped spread Guwu Street's fame. Zhao Zicheng was so excited he clapped a couple times as he continued reading the comments. He walked out with a happy face and looked at all the people working including Li Feng and the others. He called out, "Come, let me share some good news." They all looked at the chief editor curiously. Zhao Ziqing smiled at them. I want to congratulate Li Feng, Du Hai, and Chen Zhe first. Today, the publicity with the goldfish store story has had a huge influence on the internet and many people are praising our morning post. It has also helped the government promote Gu Wu Street. Tomorrow, you can continue your report and wait for an award for this month. Li Feng and the others were stunned for a moment before becoming excited. They looked at each other and laughed proudly. Kid, I'll see how you die now, Li Feng thought. As he remembered the arrogant shopkeeper, he couldn't help but cock his eyebrows and put on a proud expression. Meanwhile, the arrogant shopkeeper of the goldfish store on Gu Wu Street smiled and glanced at Weibo. Such shocking news was now one of the hottest topics on Weibo, and sooner or later, billions of people in the whole country would know of his store. Chu Xian didn't use Weibo, but since he felt he should start the next step of his plan, he created a Weibo account called Ornamental Fish in Paradise. Among the pictures and videos he collected and took on his phone, Chu Xian picked out a few about each fish and posted them on Weibo with some captions introducing and explaining each goldfish and their price, 3,000 RMB each. After finishing everything, Chu Xian went to sleep with a satisfied smile. The next morning, Chu Xian looked out at the sunny day and stretched. It was already a little past 8, so he washed up and brushed his teeth. By the time he finished breakfast and arrived at his store, it was 9. When he arrived at the entrance of the store, he saw that a group of people had already surrounded the entrance, all talking and pointing. Chu Xian was stunned. He knew the event would attract the attention of countless people, but wasn't this a little too much too soon? Excuse me, please don't block the entrance. Chu Xian shouted loudly as he walked forward. Shop owner. Is he the boss? The people whispered to each other. Hey, brother. Are you the shopkeeper? The boss who sells goldfish for 2,000 RMB each, one of the young men yelled at him curiously. No, Chu Xian replied, smiling. No, I am the boss who sells goldfish at 3,000 RMB each. Chu Xian opened the door and turned to the crowd. Welcome to my little shop. Come in and see this so-called tourist trap, The people were all stunned. The owner of the tourist trap was so arrogant, but seeing as the door was wide open and welcoming, the people went in. In a breakfast cafe across the street, Li Feng and the others pointed cameras at the scene. They arrived earlier that morning and saw the people gathered, talking and giggling. Stunned by how many people there were, they went up and asked them why they were there. Apparently, without their knowledge, their article already became the top 10-cent news. Chapter 56. Crazy Tourist Trap, 2. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 56. Crazy Tourist Trap, 2. Translator. Aristofaniso editor. Karen _ when Li Feng and the others found out their article became the top news story, they were beyond excited. This was one of the sites with the most online traffic in the whole country. This time, not only can we embarrass this arrogant shopkeeper, we can also cement our names in the industry. Li Feng and the others thought happily. Proud expressions covered their faces as they walked over to the breakfast cafe and set themselves up as paparazzi. When Chu Xian arrived, they took many pictures. Last time they didn't get any pictures of him, so now they had to make up for it. If they had pictures before, the guy would be infamous already, but it wasn't too late to snap some pictures now. Because of the distance, they couldn't hear Chu Xian's words and could only watch helplessly as the crowd entered the shop. They could only wait patiently. At that moment, Chu Xian watched as the curious people walked inside and smiled. In this society, he wasn't afraid they would make trouble. After all, they wouldn't be so stupid to damage his store for justice. Haha. Welcome to the biggest tourist trap on Gu Wu Street, Chu Xian said, standing in front of the crowd. Spreading his hands, he pointed at the goldfish. These are the 2,000 RMB goldfish that went viral yesterday, but there is only one correction. Yesterday, I raised the price to 3,000 RMB each. All the other people were confused and thought the shopkeeper was a little crazy. He might really be insane. I want to see what kind of goldfish are worth 2,000 RMB. The young man in front looked around and laughed mockingly, walking up to a fish tank. Chu Xian smiled. Take a look, but I have to repeat that the goldfish are 3,000 RMB each. What kind of goldfish is this? How could I have never seen anything like this? It's so pretty. The young man who walked over saw the fish and exclaimed with wide eyes. What the f***ck, is this really a goldfish? It's like a painting, a piece of art. It's so beautiful, look at the tail. Another man came up and exclaimed in surprise. The goldfish is extremely pretty, it might be worth 2,000 RMB. I mean, maybe worth 3,000 RMB. Expensive, so expensive. Goldfish sells at 3,000 RMB for one, but maybe the tourist trap has good business. What a crazy tourist trap. I already want some of these goldfish. Boss. Can you not be so black-hearted? Can you sell some to us at a cheaper price? 3,000 RMB is really too expensive. How about 1,000? If it's 1,000, I'll buy 5. Chu Xian laughed at their words and looked at them proudly. To these outsiders, the goldfish were beautiful but the price was too expensive. Even so, even if it felt like a rip-off, they still wanted to buy some. This was the charm and seduction of beautiful things. 3,000 RMB, no bargaining. I'm probably going to raise the price in the future when more people know about my store, Chu Xian said frankly. F***ck, you're going to raise the price again. You really are a dishonest owner of a tourist trap. Shopkeeper, I'm going to take pictures to expose your behaviors to the public, you'll be criticized by many people online. A young man took out his phone and took pictures of the goldfish with indignance on his face. Take as many pictures as you like. Chu Xian laughed calmly and chuckled even more when he saw all the people outside peering into the shop curiously. In less than 10 minutes, Chu Xian's store was packed. He had to yell, friends who have already taken a look, please leave. There are still many visitors who want to see my tourist trap, please give others a chance. Don't push. I'm getting out now. The young men had taken enough pictures and videos and left. As they walked to the door, one of them looked at Chu Xian and said speechlessly, shopkeeper, you cannot blame the Morning Post and the people online for criticizing you, your goldfish price is too high. When you lower it to a couple hundred RMB, please inform me. At the joking words of the young man, Chu Xian smiled and replied, then you'll have to wait forever. Damn. The young man gritted his teeth and glared at Chu Xian. He stomped away with his companions while saying, damn, it is a tourist trap. Tourist trap. A goldfish at 3,000 RMB. Black-hearted shopkeeper. Yeah, although the goldfish are very beautiful and very good looking, they're indeed too expensive, not something we can afford. The young men were sour grapes, because they couldn't afford the fish, they said they were expensive. They all walked away, shaking their heads. Li Feng and the others came to the door looking for information. They exchanged glances with each other with surprise. With just a few moments outside, they had already seen a lot of customers walking out with unwilling expressions, complaining about how expensive the fish were. Now we have our news. Call the Industry and Commerce Bureau. Get them to shut down the store. Li Feng said excitedly. Brother Feng. Even if we don't call, I think the Bureau will send people over today. The store is already infamous. They laughed excitedly before walking over to a tea shop nearby and sitting down, chatting casually. At this moment, Chu Xian also laughed. Shop owner, I'll send you money through WeChat. 15,000 RMB, correct, a middle-aged man asked with a fish tank under his arm. 15,000 RMB. I'll give you the fish tank for free. Okay. The middle-aged man directly transferred him 15,000 RMB. The people around were all stunned as they watched this transaction, they couldn't help but gape at the scene. Some of them took out their phones and looked at the news, saying, "This is the tourist trap that was exposed. It's expensive, even more expensive than what people said, but people are still willing to buy the fish." Furthermore, experts in .know can tell that the goldfish in this store are all rare and precious. Finishing the transaction, Chu Xian earned 15,000 RMB and was very happy. He sat in his chair, opened his phone and took a look. Under the Weibo accounts of the famous bloggers he followed, the comments of all the articles about him reached more than 10,000, and they basically all criticized him. Chu Xian checked the popularity, and his news story was in the top 3 of the trending subjects. Looks like it's pretty much ready. I can continue with the next step this afternoon. Light shone in Chu Xian's eyes. I really want to thank the good folks from the Morning Post this time. I was worried about how to promote my story and they gave me such a big chance, they really are good people. Chapter 57. Crazy Tourist Part 3. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 57. Crazy Tourist Part 3. Translator. Aristofaniso Editor. Karen_Chu Xian took out his phone and contacted the famous bloggers he hired one by one, telling them the next step. He smiled and looked at his packed store. Almost at the exact same time, on Weibo, all the famous bloggers sent out their next message. Little resident of Nanhua. Most recent news. Some people found the Weibo account of the goldfish tourist trap on Guwu Street in Haiqing City. On the Weibo account, there are lots of pictures and videos of the goldfish. I feel like I made a huge mistake. Here's the link. Mystery Expert. Some people exposed the Weibo account of the tourist trap on Guwu Street in Haiqing City. Everyone, come and see. Critic of Injustice. Today I found the Weibo account of the store on Guwu Street in Haiqing City. I don't know what to say. Experts, please give me your opinions. Here's the link. The famous bloggers spoke like they were just bystanders who didn't know anything but found the page by accident. The name of the Weibo account they shared was obviously Ornamental Fish in Paradise. In a flash, the Weibo account called Ornamental Fish in Paradise came into the spotlight, and the visitors clicked on it out of curiosity. The comedians with judgment in their hearts were already prepared to criticize it. However, when they opened the page and saw the pictures and videos of all the cute goldfish, everyone was stunned. The jokes and insults made were forgotten, and everyone viewed the pictures and videos carefully. Is this really the tourist trap on Wugu Street in Haiqing City? I spent more than 10 hours writing jokes, but when I saw the goldfish, I couldn't post them. I don't know what kind of precious kinds of fish they are and I don't know how rare they are, but just from the appearance of the goldfish, 2,000 RMB isn't too expensive. Upper floor, are you blind? Did you not see that they're 3,000 RMB each? F***ck, the goldfish are so expensive. The shopkeeper has no heart. In the future, when I'm rich, I'll definitely spend my money grandly and buy a dozen. 30 seconds ago, this old man's knife was thirsty for blood, ready to kill, but now that I've seen the pictures and videos, I can only wash fish in a gold basin. I don't care how pretty the goldfish are. I just want to say. Tourist trap, tourist trap, tourist trap. Weibo account already followed, waiting for lower prices. Panda goldfish, 12 red, blistering eye of cinnabar, crown pearl scale and so on are all precious kinds. These goldfish are really hard to cultivate. Every single one of them is worth a lot. There's an ornamental fish store on Jinghai Luqing Street that sells these kinds of goldfish. The price of every single one is at least 5,000 RMB. If this so-called tourist trap really sells the goldfish as shown in the pictures and videos, 3000 RMB isn't expensive. Nav OM, bystander not posting any opinion, waiting for the media to respond, but this time, the media might be slapped in the face, at Haiqing Morning Post. I'm in the countryside. I don't have access to internet or Wi-Fi, so in order to leave my comment for this Weibo account, I walked more than 10 km on mountain roads to get to town. My feet blistered and my shoes broke. I wanted to sell some caddies of corns to get on a bus to go to the city so I could sit in an internet cafe to like your Weibo. However, life didn't go according to plan and the weather sucks and my corns didn't grow very well, so they were only enough for my family to eat. I tried hard and finally collected 60 precious plastic water bottles and I sold them to the salvage station and got 3 renminbi. I used it to pay for internet and came to the internet cafe, visited your Weibo page, yet you only have this to show. Should you give me some goldfish to pay for my efforts? Every kind of comment showed up. Among the vast user population on Weibo, there were all kinds of people. Unlike Fast Hand, which was more geared for entertainment and had a fitting audience, Weibo was the world of all kinds of experts and professors. The experts showed up, analyzed the prices and kinds of goldfish, and some bored experts even commented about the habits and cultivation methods of the goldfish. In the end, almost none of them criticized this so-called tourist trap, and many of them asked about whether they could purchase any online. As time went by, the hot topic of the Guwu street tourist trap spread. Ornamental fish in paradise was followed by more and more people who clicked in to take a look. Chu Xian didn't know what was happening on the internet. At the moment, he was receiving money with a smile on his face. Another curious visitor paid more than 10,000 RMB to buy 5 of his goldfish. However, at this moment, a few officers wearing blue uniforms from the Industry and Commerce Bureau walked inside. Excuse us, who's the owner of this store? One of the officers asked as he walked into the store and saw the crowd. I am. Chu Xian answered immediately and walked up to them. Brothers, do you have anything to do in my little store? Someone reported that you swindle money out of your customers, the items you sell are overpriced, so we came here to investigate. One of the female officers took out her work ID as proof. Oh really? Chu Xian laughed without surprise. Then I've troubled you. Come in to look and ask around. What's there to see? He's not forcing anyone to buy his fish. It's just a matter of if he's willing to sell and we're willing to buy. Furthermore, the goldfish here are worth the price. The young man who just bought goldfish vouched for Chu Xian with a fish tank in hand. Since the brothers and sisters have already come, I should explain what's happened. Chu Xian said carelessly, then pointed at the buyer next to him. Brothers and sisters, look. These are the goldfish I sell, 3,000 RMB each. This bro just bought 5 for 15,000 RMB. Everyone here can testify that I didn't force him to buy it. The officers looked at him with stunned expressions and felt that everything was different from the reports online. You, the female officer said, then saw the goldfish in the tank in his arms. Her face changed in her surprise and she couldn't help saying, how beautiful. Tourist trap. It's a tourist trap. Handsome brothers and beautiful sisters, this store is a tourist trap. You should force him to lower the price of the goldfish to 500 RMB. 1,000 RMB is also acceptable. That's right, force the tourist trap to lower his prices. 1,000 RMB is still too expensive, I can only afford 100 RMB. The other customers laughed and joked. The officers from the Industry and Commerce Bureau were a little stunned and smiled bitterly. Sorry little bro, we came and bothered you. Hey, brothers and sisters. Can you give me proof to back up my store? There are rumors on the internet saying my store is a tourist trap, harming the reputation of my store. The officers from the Industry and Commerce Bureau looked at each other and nodded. Author's note. Proof from the Industry and Commerce Bureau can be given to the store owner. I looked it up on the internet, but if this isn't the case, please don't take it seriously. Chapter 58. The Happy and the Panicked. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 58. The Happy and the Panicked. Translator. Aristofaniso Editor. Karen _ this is to certify that in the ornamental fish store situated at 108, Guwu Street, the owner does not force customers into buying anything. The goldfish are worth their price and do not violate the market price. Chu Xian took the proof from the Industry and Commerce Bureau and smiled. He took a picture and then opened Weibo. When he saw that his Weibo already had 100,000 posts, he couldn't help but be stunned for a moment. Reading the comments, he laughed, looks like my store won't be affected even without the proof. However, he still posted the proof from the Industry and Commerce Bureau on Weibo with the comment. Lately, there were suddenly some famous bloggers and official Weibo accounts spreading false rumors about my little store, so I asked the officers from the Industry and Commerce Bureau to give me proof to prove that my store is not a tourist trap. I also saw that many visitors wanted to purchase goldfish, so for any interested parties, please add me on WeChat. Hehe, the last sentence is the key point. Chu Xian smiled slyly, posting his WeChat information. Chu Xian checked his followers and saw that he already had over 100,000, and the number was rising every second. He guessed that after this incident passed, he would have at least 500,000 or 600,000 followers, maybe more. News spread fast online. In the morning, the Sky.High goldfish incident on Wugu Street in Haiqing City was popular, but in the afternoon it experienced a huge twist. Some bystanders said they had been manipulated, but this could be counted as the fun of the internet. The Weibo page of ornamental fish in paradise went viral, and if in the early days it was well known because of the Sky High price goldfish incident, in the later days it was because of the videos and pictures of the goldfish. At this moment in the office of the Morning Post, Li Feng was tapping his keyboard excitedly, writing sharp and biting words. He felt like he was a hero of mankind, getting rid of harmful scum. However, he didn't notice that a middle-aged man with fire in his eyes and face filled with anger walked slowly towards him, gripping his phone tightly in his hand as if he was going to smash it. Li Feng, the chief editor, yelled with an angry face, thinking of the ironic comments and mockery circulating online about the Haiqing Morning Post. The blue veins on his face bulged and his angry eyes stared at Li Feng. "Oh, chief editor, please wait a second, I'm almost done with the report on the tourist trap. When it's published tomorrow, it'll definitely cause a big reaction. At that time, it'll be a good advertisement for our Morning Post," Li Feng replied with a smile while typing. Pang! The chief editor hit the table heavily, startling Li Feng and everyone in the entire office. "Did you make sure before writing yesterday's report that this shop actually was a tourist trap?" Li Feng saw the hideously twisted face of the chief editor and panicked. He nodded timidly and said, "We took a look inside his store. The goldfish are indeed very pretty, but they are 2,000 RMB each." Obviously he wanted to swindle some. "Shut up. You three come with me," the chief editor yelled angrily, then walked toward his office. Li Feng saw the chief editor's angry expression and was confused and worried. He followed him in a panic. The workers outside the office looked at each other as the sounds of banging tables came from the room. They all lowered their heads and tried to make themselves small. It was the first time they had seen the chief editor so angry. After a while, Li Feng and the others walked out with pale faces. They had been directly demoted from journalists to proofreaders, and if they didn't do anything big, they wouldn't be promoted ever again in this life. Chu Xian wasn't aware of what happened to them, and if he knew, he would treat them to a meal with compassion and offer them some money for helping him advertise his store. Accept. Accept. At this moment, Chu Xian held his phone, accepting the friend requests on one by one. Within an hour, hundreds of people sent him friend requests, and among them were many people wanting to buy goldfish. "Boss, I want to buy 5 goldfish, how do I pay? Boss, I want 10, should I send you money through WeChat?" Could you make the price a little cheaper? If I buy 10, do I get a discount? In a single moment, he received more than 10 messages. Chu Xian was totally swamped, and when he looked at the noisy store, he smiled bitterly before continuing to reply to the messages on WeChat. Chu Xian didn't finish replying to all the messages until 6 p.m. 120 orders of at least 10,000 RMB. The biggest order was for 30,000 RMB. In total, 700 goldfish sold and more than 2 million RMB made. Chu Xian was excited. Within one afternoon, more than 700 people added him as a WeChat contact, and among them was more than 100 people wanting to purchase. Woo, the goldfish in the store isn't enough, it seems I should remold some more and... Chu Xian pondered in his heart, and opened Weibo, posting a message, there are only 300 goldfish left in the store. If you want to purchase, please place your order soon. He posted this not because he wanted other people to buy quickly, but to act as a kind of mask. It was surprising enough that he could sell 300 goldfish, but if they knew he had an infinite number of goldfish, it would attract unwanted attention and curiosity. If someone really investigated his store, he wouldn't be able to hide the truth. This was why he sent this message to tell people that he only had so many goldfish. Of course, he wasn't going to sell only 300 goldfish. By selling on the internet, other people didn't know how many goldfish he sold, so he didn't have to worry about it. If there were any orders, he would take them. The only thing that made him feel bittersweet was how much time he needed to spend to remold the goldfish. So many orders. I need to spend a really time long to remold and I can't open the store in the meantime, but I also can't close up shop. Having a store is an insurance for the online market. It seems like I'm going to have to hire a worker. I'm going to be a boss. Chu Xian thought in his heart, smiling. Hiring workers, he hadn't even thought about it before. And, I need to find a person to keep an eye on my store. She doesn't need much ability. She just needs to be female, pretty, and have a sweet smile, gaga. Chapter 59. Child worker. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 59. Child worker translator. Aristofaniso editor. Karen with the list of online orders piling higher and higher every day, Chu Xian needed an assistant. He headed over to the print shop nearby and print out an ad. Looking for a young, female assistant. 4,000 renminbi per month, meals provided. The hours every day would be from 9 a.m. to 11 p.m. It was a big time commitment, but all she needed to do was take money from customers, so the salary was already pretty high considering her duties. After posting the ad outside his shop door, Chu Xian also posted an ad online. With all that finished, he checked his Weibo and saw he had over 500,000 followers. In just half a day I've already gotten so much attention. No wonder people like this hype **T, Chu Xian thought, casually flipping through the comments. Night fell and the store was still packed. After 7, Xiaoying and the girls from her dorm came over and asked about everything that happened online. This time Chu Xian's hype tactics were too successful, the entire country's netizens had heard about his store, and the nearby students and locals wandered over curiously. Xiaoying and the others came to see what was happening, but left shortly after. Around 9 p.m., the crowd thinned out, and Chu Xian stood up and yawned. It had been a busy and tiring day. I'm closing up, Chu Xian said to the last 2 customers apologetically, showing them the way out. When he closed the door and turned around, the appearance of 2 silhouettes stopped him in his tracks. Are you 2 here for the store? I'm sorry, I've already closed up for the day, Chu Xian said, looking inquisitively at the old man and the little girl. Boss, are you hiring employees? The old man asked after a moment of hesitation. The cute girl beside the old man wore a school uniform and grasped his sleeves nervously. Chu Xian looked over the old man and his plain clothes and shook his head apologetically. Sorry uncle, I only hire women. No, no. Not me. The old man waved his calloused hands hurriedly. My granddaughter is looking for a job. I don't know if you're willing to hire her. At his words, Chu Xian was stunned and looked from his awkward and nervous expression to the little girl next to him. The girl was barely 160 centimeters, wasn't very tall, had pink cheeks and had her hair tied back in a double ponytail. She was a very cute child. Uncle, you say your granddaughter is looking for work? Chu Xian asked, turning away from the girl. Isn't she too young? Isn't she a little unsuitable? Not too young. Poo-Poo is already 16 this year, and has already graduated from high school, the old man hurriedly explained. Yes, big brother. I'm not young. Although I'm not very strong, there are still many things I can do. I can be an attendant, or I can be a cashier, and I can also learn a lot of other skills. Poo-Poo said firmly, looking up at Chu Xian with clear eyes. Chu Xian looked at the little girl with some surprise. 16. She looked like a 12 or 13-year-old child. Was this some legendary loli? Shaking off his random thoughts, Chu Xian frowned lightly and wrinkled his forehead. But you still look too young, and anyway, you're still a minor. You still count as a child worker. The old man looked away in disappointment, pulling the little girl's hands and saying in a small voice. Poo-Poo, let's go. Brother. I'm a hard worker. I can say I'm your relative, then there'll be no problem. The last place I worked, my boss told other people the same thing. And I'm not asking for a very high salary, the girl said, turning around after being dragged a few steps away by her grandfather. She turned to Chu Xian, hopeful and expectant. The girl's words touched Chu Xian's heart, and he hesitated. Finally, with a last glance at their plain clothes, he agreed. Okay. Your salary will be what I posted on the door, 4,000 renminbi a month. You'll get 4 days off, and I'll give you money for food every day. Housing not provided. Thank you, brother. Thank you, the girl said, bowing emotionally. The old man beside her also bowed his head in grateful happiness. You don't need to bow. Just be here tomorrow at 9. The work is very straightforward. Oh right, little sis, what's your name? Chu Xian said to young woman. Feng Poo-Poo. Big brother, you can just call me Poo-Poo. Feng Poo-Poo said happily. Her smile revealed a pair of cute dimples, and her big eyes narrowed cutely. Okay, Poo-Poo. I'll be taking off first and I'll see you tomorrow. Chu Xian said, nodding. Feng Poo-Poo and the old man waved goodbye, and Chu Xian walked a short distance away before covering his face. I'm only helping the girl out of sympathy, I have no other intentions. I just need someone to watch the store and take money. Although she's young, Poo-Poo looks smart. She shouldn't have any trouble at the store. Chu Xian drove home happily, but he didn't know whether he was happy because he hired a lowly assistant or because of the number of online orders. Of course, he should be happier because of the latter. The next morning, Chu Xian arrived at the store at 8 a.m. without having eaten breakfast. Because it was Poo-Poo's first day, Chu Xian wanted to arrive a little earlier and take his new assistant to look around the neighborhood. He could recommend some good restaurants to her, and tell her which shop had the best prices for meat buns. As a boss, he wanted to be a good boss respected by his workers, even if he only had one employee. When he arrived, a small figure was standing by the door, wearing the same uniform she did yesterday, looking like a middle schooler. Why did you come so early? Chu Xian asked, walking over. Boss, Feng Poo-Poo greeted. My grandpa goes to work early, so I get up early too. I didn't really have anything to do, so I headed over. Chu looked at her shy expression and chuckled. You don't have to come so early in the future. We open at 9 a.m. By the way, have you eaten yet? I can take you to grab some breakfast. I've eaten already. Feng Poo-Poo nodded, but followed him hurriedly anyway. In the future, I'll take care of all your meals. I'll give you a 40 RMB meal stipend a day. Right, let me tell you, the breakfast here is pretty nice. They have some buns, some spicy soup and soft tofu. You can eat your fill for only 7 or 8 RMB. The lunch specials at that noodle shop are pretty good too, and that store makes some pretty good covered rice meals. Chu Xian introduced the shops as he walked. He stopped at a breakfast store and ordered some food. After they finished, Chu Xian glanced at her clothes and put his hand to his forehead. Right. I'll take you out to buy some work clothes and a credit card machine. Do you have a cell phone? Chapter 60. Acquaintance. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 60. Acquaintance. Translator. Aristofaniso. Editor. Karen Feng Pupu carried her small pile of belongings with wide eyes, following Chu Xian in stunned obedience. A brand new cell phone and a magnetic strip reader lay on top of two carefully folded uniforms in her arms. The clothes are your uniform, and you'll wear those while working. The cell phone is also for work. I'll help you set up WeChat and Alipay on it, and you'll use it in the future to manage all transactions, Chu Xian said, glancing at Feng Pupu's dazed expression in amusement. Chu Xian led the way and pushed open the store door. Come here, let me explain what you'll be doing. Walking over to the fish tanks, Chu Xian said. You'll need to take care of the goldfish and feed them throughout the day. Just a little spoonful each time, don't forget. You'll also need to know the species and characteristics of the different goldfish. I'll write the details down for you to memorize. You'll also need to learn how to use the card machine, WeChat, and Alipay to receive money. Feng Pupu followed along studiously, nodding along at Chu Xian's words. Chu Xian couldn't resist patting her head. In the future, you don't need to call me boss. Just call me brother and we'll avoid any trouble. Okay, brother. Feng Pupu said, lowering her head and accepting his hand. Chu Xian looked at her obedient gesture and couldn't help but feel some guilt in his heart. If she lifted her head at this moment and said, Brother, although I don't mind, the lightest sentence is 3 years and the most severe one is death. Then that would be interesting. Shaking his head, Chu Xian pushed the random thoughts out of his mind. He took up a pen and piece of paper and wrote down the different varieties and characteristics of the goldfish. In the few moments that passed, a couple of people peeked into the store curiously. Feng Pupu went up to the customers and cheerfully greeted them, welcome. The people all smiled at the cute girl, and the girl herself turned to Chu Xian eagerly. Chu Xian chuckled and said, you don't have to yell welcome every time someone comes in, otherwise you'll exhaust yourself. Just let the customers come in and look around and make sure they pay for things. You'll just help them net the goldfish they ask for and be there when they need you. Pupu looked at him in some confusion but still nodded in affirmation. Soon enough, she understood. The store was too popular. From 10 a.m. onwards, the store was packed, and a continuous stream of people came and went. Sometimes, there were even a few people waiting at the door. After that, Feng Pupu just stood by the side anxiously staring at the goldfish, afraid that someone might come and steal some. Chu Xian nodded with satisfaction. Although she was young, Pupu was very thoughtful, careful, and very attentive. Okay, Pupu, come over here. Let me show you the goldfish. Chu Xian handed over a piece of paper and pointed out each of the goldfish. Pupu read the paper and followed along, nodding continuously. A short while later, a customer bought 5 goldfish and Chu Xian used the opportunity to show her how to manage transactions. Around lunchtime, he ordered some takeout and went out to buy a little stool. After lunch, Chu Xian entrusted the shop to Pupu and drove over to the fish farm in Feng Tai. When he arrived, he saw the workers busy finishing off the renovations. Chu Xian nodded in satisfaction. Lately, some of the workers even stayed overnight keeping guard, yet nothing unexpected happened. Boss, Will be done after 2 more days. All the work will be finished, one of the workers said. Chu Xian nodded and passed around some cigarettes. After chatting with the group for a little while, he took his leave. This was going to be his foundation, the base for his future developments, and this would also function as an important mask for his activities. Protecting the farm would be a top priority, ensuring that something like the previous fiasco could never happen again. Chu Xian's secrets prevented him from hiring guards, and he also couldn't stay camped out there forever either. As he thought back to the information he found online, he shook his head bitterly. He returned to Guwu Street, but as he walked up to his store, he noticed some construction work on the other side of the street. From what Chu Xian could remember, the store opposite his sold small pets, small animals like cute cats and dogs and some mice, but the owner fared worse than him and closed up shop after just 2 months, and from then on, the doors had been closed. Looks like a new shop is opening up. I wonder what they'll sell. Chu Xian thought to himself, peering over curiously. Suddenly, a familiar silhouette appeared and stunned Chu Xian. He never imagined that his acquaintance would open up shop just across from him. He hesitated for a moment before walking over. Hi, how are you? What a surprise to see you here. Chu Xian walked over and greeted his acquaintance. BDNVL Dem Tang Chumeng turned from her work in surprise. Hello, what a coincidence. What are you doing here? Hee, it is a big coincidence. We'll be neighbors in the future. I own the ornamental fish store across the street. What kind of store are you opening up? Chu Xian asked curiously. Tang Chumeng looked over at him with some surprise. Even as a newcomer, she heard of this small shop across the street that sold high-class goldfish. The shop was crazily popular on the internet, and every day the store was packed with people. When she arrived there, she took a moment to look inside his shop as well. All the goldfish were very beautiful and were all rare and precious varieties. Although all the goldfish were very expensive, his business was good, and in the few minutes she was at the shop, she saw at least one customer buy 5 fish. It had to be said that the store was an incredibly popular luxury store. I didn't know the goldfish shop was yours. Tang Chumeng replied in surprise. I'm opening up a pet store, but mainly to help cure pets. You could call it an animal clinic. Chu Xian looked her with some confusion. Such a beautiful girl opening up an animal clinic seemed like a bit of a waste, but he thought back to what Xiaoying told him. Girls who studied abroad really were different from others, he thought to himself. I'll also sell some small pets, Tang Chumeng replied with a giggle at Chu Xian's astonished expression. Oh, then you won't have to change much in the store. Looks like you'll be able to start work in a couple days, Chu Xian said with some awkwardness. Yes, after 2 days of cleaning, I can open up shop the day after tomorrow. Chu Xian nodded. As he turned to leave, a thought struck him and he turned back with an expectant glance. Ms. Tang, I heard from Xiaoying that you studied animals pretty extensively. Do you by any chance know the anatomy and structure of a crocodile?